Hi.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you feeling?
I feel good overall. I feel good overall, but hey, just last week PMS wise, I had bouts and bouts of doubts.
Hmm.
I felt really good last few days. Well, I talked with the blood doctor. I got this whole blood panel thing done, and after discussing with him because I have low testosterone, which is weird, he basically thinks that when I got the IED out in Mexico, that my body just needed to recalibrate. And
Sure.
I was feeling weak and not aggressive and just different. So I feel better knowing that I've been feeling better about it and I've recalibrated. I'm just
Hmm.
a little more trusting in myself because I'm like, what the fuck? I can't do anything.
Well, you had to have that readjustment period, right?
Yeah. Yes. And that did a lot. I mean, that whole trip obviously did a lot, but it did a lot as far as the doctor's like, I don't even know how that thing was working or how it kept you from getting pregnant. So like when I'm confronted with the fact that I can't have children or may not, then I need to make the decision that I want to. Like you don't want it until you find out you can't have it.
Do you ever see that episode of Friends?
No.
Yeah, Rachel took a pregnancy test, and so then she couldn't look at it, and so Phoebe took it from her, and she's like, I can't look, I could look, because she didn't want to be pregnant, she didn't want to have a baby, and then she like said it, she's like, oh, it's negative. And then Rachel was like, she starts crying and she's all upset. She's like, I thought you didn't want a baby. And she's like, well, I mean, now that I know that I'm not, I'm kind of sad. Like, how can you be sad over something that you didn't even know you had? And then Phoebe's like, well, it's positive.
Oh my gosh. Phoebe's so crazy. She was the dumbest, smartest one in that whole show.
Yeah.
I know that's all I know.
And Rachel goes, well, that was a risky little trick.
I like how you remember it. I wouldn't remember any of them. Oh, you're good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm home. We're gonna go back down. We're gonna fucking downsize the house, go back to the Kings Row house, get the kids all situated, and we're gonna go back down to Mexico. I don't want to be here. Like,
What do you, what do you,
I want to eat real food. I like the food here is disgusting. Like I just don't want to do it anymore. I want to go to a country that doesn't have bad food.
really?
Yeah.
I totally agree.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna go down for 90 days in the winter, like in like November. So
Okay.
we have to tie up here, but then we're gonna finish fixing the Kings Row house, move back in there, and then we'll leave right after that. We have Wonder Camp in September, and then after Wonder Camp we'll leave.
Like leave as in move, like relocate.
I'm not ready to say that yet. I want him to experience it first. He's like, I'm moving, right? But like, I want him to do 90 days of what it's really like to live there, because vacationing somewhere and living somewhere are two different things.
It's very true. Yep. Yep.
So I want him to have a full understanding of what that means for him when he's not like, exhausted and needing to rest. Cause like he's like,
Right.
I love it here. I just want to stay. And I was like, right, but that's because you really don't want to go home to the bullshit you have to deal with. So it's different.
Right. But then like you're gonna acquire bullshit there the longer you stay anywhere.
That's how it goes, right? And I really want to get to a space of having, I want a property in Mexico and I want a property in New Orleans. And then I want to keep the house here. And so we're thinking that we would get a boat, like a big boat, like a boat that we could go from Mexico to New Orleans and back and forth. Um,
Oh, why New Orleans?
I love New Orleans. It's my favorite city that I've ever been to. I love New
I
Orleans.
I
It's
never knew
the
that.
it's the only city that I've ever been to that when I got there, I felt like I was home. I don't feel like I belong anywhere else.
Interesting.
It's almost like my magic is from there. It's
Yeah.
like I when I go there, I feel like I went home. Like Doug and I went there for the first time. We went to Tales of the Cocktail, like, I mean, fucking forever ago now, right? But when I went there, I knew the grit. I knew the city. I knew where to go. Like I was
Yeah.
never lost there.
Wow.
And
Yeah, that's
that
crazy.
was like
It is
before we
magic.
had it was before we had phones with like that stuff. Like we didn't have that. And I just knew exactly where to go. He's like, you've never been here before? I was like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the place is magic for sure. There's something lovingly magic. That's the way I feel about that place.
Yeah.
Because there's other magic places, but it doesn't have like that. It's to me, it was like a embracing type. Oh, I've only been there a couple times, and I was doing other things that wasn't who really I am.
Yeah. I'm
Oh, who
going,
knows?
I'm going back in July. So I'll be there for a week in July.
Oh, how fun.
So, okay. Tell me how I can help. I already know, but I want you to tell me.
um, I guess I don't want to ever say like I don't want to half-ass things. A lot of the stuff I've done in my life is like, oh, I'm going to try this. Oh, I'm going to try that. And I just try it until I feel fulfilled. But I never stuck with something. I feel like with the fighting in this path, I've stuck with it. And I never really committed to it though, because I never knew my why. And I finally feel like I've known and learned my whys, why I'm here. And a lot of it has to do with uh, this, being able to tell a story about age and how that didn't hinder me. But even more so, what I got learning about my body and acquiring this relationship with my body and connecting not just the traumas that happened to me as a child, but like generationally. I know that I addressed stuff that has been passed down. And I truly think that like the patterns that like my great grandmothers and stories that I hear of her and like stuff that happened to them in relationships or in partners that they've had or husbands they had, and in the treatment of their children. I know that's passed all the way down because I see it in me and I see it in the way I've treated my pets. I don't have children, but I see it's the same as I treat my pets. I'm like, man, I would never want to treat a human like this, but this is how they got treated generation after generation after generation. I'm not trying to say I'm a fucking martyr, but I know that like I ended that shit. Like it was in there. It was deep. And I'm just thinking maybe that's why I didn't have these children because it would have kept going. I wasn't ready. So I truly feel like that's a big why. Like that's something I can't really just say in some weird interview or anything, but I feel I'd be like, this lady's crazy. But like I feel it. I feel it and I see my mother getting better, just like elevating and feeling better about herself. And my dad's like my dad told me previously, he's like, it's not just gonna help the future children, it's gonna heal all the way back. Um and I truly think that's why I'm doing this bullshit. Like why like I never in my life thought I'd be doing this, and it's just done that much for me as far as understanding that. So now that I feel like I understand this, I don't want it to like end. I don't want to say, oh, I'm done. But I feel like getting this belt is like a degree of after going to school for so long.
Mhm.
Finally, I get some credibility. My mom's having me help for years. I've helped her do presentations and we talk about bullying and stuff. And like, we really want to get that going together. And I think we finally can because she's not as nuts and I accept her way more than I used to. And, uh, and I just feel like when I speak, having this credential will mean something. So I'm relying heavily on that for my future. And I kind of don't want to. I kind of want to know that I have that in me with or without a belt. It's a silly little belt. It's not like the fucking UFC World Championship. But um I feel like every fight's important, but like every fight's more important than the last for some damn reason. And this one isn't about fighting anymore. It's about what I'm trying to set up. And especially after being in Mexico, like I'm ready. Like I feel ready for that. And I think it is like the transition's kind of rocky right now because I
Mhm.
don't want to really let it go. I love training. I love learning. Like it stimulates me in every way. But I can't give attention to other things when I'm focused on this. Like I can't give attention to relationships, men, my like like creating the businesses or ideas that all these ideas I have that I know can make money. I just can't seem to like do it all
Mhm.
with this training. So I have to let something go.
Mhm. Okay, so you ready for the question?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you sure?
I mean,
No. Okay, so the question in here, we have to talk about the loss. Okay, so what lesson did you learn from your last loss that you could not have learned any other way?
man, I feel like there were the few lessons, but as far as putting it into words, um, the lesson was, well, it was clear that I was off and the people or particular person I was around wasn't, I'm not blaming them, but I chose it. Like, and I saw that like kind of like an addictive nature to having them around, like I was reliant on it. Um, and that started kind of like this weird downhill cycle because ever since then, everybody I've met's gotten crazier and crazier as far as like someone that's romantically interested in me. And this last one, I don't think I mentioned it to you, but was horrible. I've never had someone speak to me in such ways that this person did. And I've recently learned there's disorders, like diagnosed disorders that I've never dealt with. I was so confused. And that I'm not blaming the loss on that person by any means, but it just showed me when I didn't have boundaries. That was the first time I didn't have boundaries. So I'll get to the point of why this loss has to do with these people, but it showed me that all the stuff that was happening in my external life was because I didn't have boundaries, and that loss displayed that. And it kind of continued to show me show me that. Also, that loss showed me that I needed that I was how do I describe it? That loss showed me that I had an expectation for the outcome and that to be the only thing, like it had to be that way. Like my expectation had to be that.
Mhm.
And because I felt like I was ready to retire then, but I had nothing to go to. Even if I stopped, I don't know what I'd be doing. Whereas it's different right now. And um I think that wanting to say that I was going to retire if I won those fights um was me taking an easy way out. And I wasn't ready. Like since that fight to now, I'm not the same person. A lot happened this year.
Mhm. What's changed?
Absolutely my self-worth. Like I actually like see not even that long ago, how did I allow myself to be treated certain ways, to be around certain people, to not speak my to not speak like what I was really thinking or wanting or feeling, for fear of hurting someone's feelings, usually, or having them not like me. I didn't realize I was a people pleaser until this last year. And I always thought it was just like, no, I want them to feel good. I want to be nice to them. But like I learned that nice and kind are different. Um, because I want them to be nice to me, so I feel good. So those were huge. And then that it's just a process. It was a process. It needed the years before. It needed the years prior for sure. But I think that addressing that stuck trauma in my hip from childhood, from having been molested, that I didn't know was there until the DMT experience, which I was like against. I don't think you need that kind of stuff, but like I didn't even know it was there, and I was in that experience, and it was fucking just so clear and clinging to me, not wanting to let go. And then I was like, I can go deeper. It needs to be really cleaned out. And I did that. And I feel like that's like was hindering a lot, especially regarding love and romance, sexuality. And that was like just several months ago. Um, and it just kind of goes hand in hand with everything else, with all this other stuff.
How did the loss serve you?
It definitely provided humility. The scariest thing with those first two fights, when my arm was injured and I utilized you, and I was utilizing a lot of my practices and visualizations, the scariest thing was those fights not working out. And then that means it's like, when you're a devout religious person and all of a sudden you realize it was all a scam and your pastor is a molester, whatever. And then you're just like, that's what I was scared of regarding these practices. Anyway, it worked out. Those fights were beautiful. They played out exactly how I had them in my mind. Whereas the loss, I didn't have it in my mind. I didn't have it in my heart. I didn't have it in my mind. And so that's why. And for whatever reason, I didn't, be it the people or the process I was in, it was evident that that's why. So it served in that way of proving me to me.
Okay, now here's the leap. Okay, so you've got all that stuff that you've unpacked, but now there's a leap that has to be made. And so the leap that has to be made is how that loss was the best thing that ever happened for you.
It does seem that after that is when things really started coming together. Like as far as, I mean, that's when all these changes started happening. But I can't really pinpoint at why or how.
When I got fired from those bars, at the time, it felt like a loss, right? Like it
Yeah.
was really hard. It was a big chin check to my fucking ego. But
Yeah.
if I wouldn't have gotten fired, I would still be at those bars, right? I would still be there doing the same shit I was doing before. Getting fired was the best thing that ever happened for me. Because
Yeah.
in my story, that was the pivotal point. So the leap that you have to make is to your future self. The version of you who, yeah, wins the fight, but uses the fight as the platform to create this other fucking reality for yourself where you're creating this mission and moving through time in a completely different way. And so much so that your future self, that version of you, tells this story about the loss. So I want you to think about being that person. When you are the person who's, you and your mom are doing this fucking bully ass thing at the school, right? And like you're doing all this shit and you're doing these interviews and you're making all this money and helping all of these people. Your money's not just flowing through you, it's flowing through generations because you are the face for this. When you are that person in an interview, up on a stage, or, writing your book or whatever the fuck it is, tell me the story of that loss from that person's perspective.
That first and last loss that I had was the pinnacle point of when I really had to take a step back. I had to take a step back and look at like what wasn't working in my life. And that's when I started like kind of organizing what I want to work and what will work. And if it weren't for that, I probably would have just kept thinking I'm this winner and doing what I do until someday I'm going to have a loss, which might be later than I needed. Like I needed it to be sooner so I could do this now, so I could be here now already.
What would you say to young fighters who are just getting started on their journey and knowing that they're afraid of that first loss? What would you tell them about that?
Well, what I would tell them about a loss or any failure is that's literally the only time you learn stuff is through mistakes and failures. Like there's no other way to learn. Literally, you cannot learn and grow without failures and mistakes. And I think it's just an ego thing that we don't want to lose in fighting because it's a big display.
What's the thing that you learned in that fight that you couldn't have learned any other way?
The thing that I learned in that fight that I couldn't have learned without it is it's just the way that it motivated me. It motivated me in this way, like a type of humility, a type of reassessment that if I won, I would have just gallivanted around fine, like nothing. But the loss made me have to look at things again and really had to make me make decisions on what was going to work and what wasn't, because what I was doing obviously, or whatever I was involved with wasn't helping, didn't help with the loss, with the win.
What do you attribute your success to?
My practices, dedication to it, discipline, self-discipline. I would just say self-discipline, honestly, to the practices and such.
Where does your self-discipline come from?
I don't know. I feel it like just as you said that, it feels like a tube from my brain down to my heart.
You weren't always self-disciplined.
No, it wasn't until I found this whole thing.
What has that discipline afforded you in this greater mission?
Self-discovery and helping my family and my mother and stuff heal.
You're already the person. You don't have to do anything else. You're already the person. You just have to believe it as much as we do. That's it. You're already the person.
How do I know though? How do I assure myself? Unless I win.
That's not how that works. When you let yourself know that you already are the person, that's how you win.
I know. Okay.
It's just telling yourself every day, I am already the person. And finding one truth of that every single day. And then one more, and then one more. You already are the person.
Okay.
Do this with your fingers. Okay, just calibrate. Okay, it's just calibrating with the fingertips. And just keep doing this. Up until the fight, just keep doing it, giving yourself that calibration. I already am the person. The subconscious rewiring has already occurred. The timelines have already collapsed. I am already the person.
I am already that person.
And understanding like that, like you just said, that belt is just a step. It's not the finality. It's a step in the bigger realm of things. So this is all a concept of moving the goalpost. Once upon a time, when I wanted Doug to finish a fucking bathroom, I told him that I needed him to redo the entire master bedroom, including the bathroom, because I knew he was only going to get 0.7 of the way there.
Ah.
So if you move the goalpost to a bigger goal, this goal gets smaller.
And then seemingly easily attainable.
Because it's just the bathroom.
Yeah. How do you know that? How do you know to do that?
I learned it from his dad. I watched his dad trick him all the time, so I learned how to do it too.
That's awesome.
So that's it. It's already calibrated. It's already done. It's just a matter of allowing it. And we allow with our feminine flow. Every tear, every emotion, every heartbeat is allowing it a little bit more.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to recalibrate and remind myself that every day.
Just say, I am calibrated, past tense, right?
As if it's already happened.
We've already done the recalibration. We just did it. It's over. So now it's just acknowledging, I have calibrated. I am calibrated. Not I'm recalibrating. We
Okay.
already did that part. That was yesterday. So
Yeah.
now I am calibrated.
Okay.
Lots of visualizations, not of the fight, not of the win, but of what happens afterwards.
Okay.
In the face of the impact that you're creating. Knowing
Yeah.
that this is just one small bathroom. It's just
Yeah.
one bathroom. That's all. There'll be lots of other pieces that fall into place. So there's no need to put a whole bunch of pressure on this one, right? It's just one bathroom.
Yeah. That one bathroom when you have people over makes a big difference if it's more spacious.
Yeah, it does. But at the end of the day, it's just one bathroom.
I like that.
Okay, how do you feel?
I feel more emotional, but I am okay with that. I wasn't even emotional till we started talking.
Yeah. Emotion
I
is
think,
a power.
yeah, it really is. And I think that that's what the difference is too, is like I was always so much in my masculine, and then fighting seems like it requires that. And now that I'm like trying to balance it out, like I just don't, it's not that big a deal to like be in there fucking fighting. Like I said, what it's done for me here is different than what like I thought fighting was gonna do, which was like, oh, cool, be cool, and you're so tough and you're strong. Like I don't care about those things. So so I'm just like it might think it's a little confused. My body or something's confused. But
Just allow it to understand, right? Set the intention that your body now understands. Your body was confused, but now
okay,
your body understands.
yes, my body understands and knows what to do. It knows how to do it.
Mhm.
Um, I'm gonna take that into my sparring because now I have to go spar. My last hard sparring day.
Good. Allow that, right? Allow your body to integrate. This is the integration fight. Okay. So
Okay.
integrate the knowing into your body, into every single cell. Feel it coming up through the soles of your feet, in through the palms of your hands, down through your crown, swirling through your heart, and activating through every single cell. This is the calibration. This is the integration. Now, as you take action, moving, right? You're
Yeah.
the cells, you are calibrated.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
Go kick some ass. Okay. I love you.
I love you. Thank you.
We'll talk soon.
Talk soon.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.